There were huge plans to return in some way the Elgin marbles back to Greece where they belong in a new museum. I remember an old man was thrown out of his home so that that museum could be built. He died before he could actually move into a new home. So, people have paid with their lives for this artistic statement. And I think for the British Museum and for the British government to hide behind a law which was created in the 60s to stop Melina Mercouri and her friends from getting anywhere with the idea of repatriating the Greek marbles, this is sort of cheap. And George Osborne, the chair of the British Museum, had met with Kyriakos Mitsotakis, the Greek Prime Minister, to finalise the arrangements for the repatriation of the Elgin marbles, of the 2,500-year-old Parthenon marble sculptures, if necessary, on some sort of long-term loan. And Mitsotakis was in the UK over Christmas or something to give an address to the London School of Economics, and he and George Osborne decided that it was a possibility, that it was a win-win solution that could be found to reunify the Parthenon sculptures in Greece. Some of them are on exhibition in the museum, and some of them are in the UK, in the British Museum. They are not together where they should be. Now, one of the arguments is that we've looked after them very well. Actually, that's not entirely true. We cleaned them and we took the patina off them. But we did stop them being destroyed by further bombing during the Greek Civil War and during the War of Independence. We certainly saved them from that. But whether we are entitled to them, I don't know. We are certainly morally entitled to keep these sculptures if we are part of Europe. Now, before the European Union was established, we were part of Europe. Once the European Union was established and we joined it, we became integrally part of Europe. But the moment we decided to go alone, we lost that moral superiority. We lost that moral right, I think. And the fact that in All Saints Tinwell, the little church in Rutland, there's been a cross which has been which was taken from the battlefield of the Somme and is now being reunited with the in the church where it belongs, in a little village in Amiens. This is quite right, even though this cross was quite rightfully found on the battlefield and thought to belong to nobody, that its original church had been destroyed, and the Reverend Percy Lane Hewson took it back to care for it in Rutland, and it's been on the altar in the church in Rutland since 1936. The return of that cross sets, I think, a precedent, and I think the sort of comments which are being made here in the in the comment section saying that I don't really understand what's going on. Well, yeah, in one sense I am being a little bit sensationalist about this, but in another sense, I think it's reasonable to make the case that we can no longer hide behind laws that we've invented to stop us sending these marbles back. I think we've lost the moral initiative. We've lost the moral high ground. The moral high ground was that we have a world-class museum where great works can be seen in their historical and European context. Not so much now, and particularly if we reject something, if we reject our former partner, then maybe we have a duty to give back the engagement ring. I don't think it's a strong argument, but I think it is nevertheless an argument. It's something that I think is worth considering.